Hi, in this video we will be talking about some of the Chapter R review topics regarding factoring and maybe some other things. So first of all, we're going to start with factoring out a greatest common factor. So we'll use the problem 6x squared y minus 12xy squared plus 24xy. Okay, so we need to look for what factors are in common in all three of these terms. And the terms are numbers and variables that are multiplied, separated by adding and subtracting. So I can see that there's a 6 in common. And then if you look at the variables, there's an x in common among all of the terms and a y in common. Then in parentheses, we'll put what's left after we've pulled out the 6xy from each of the terms. So from the 6x squared y, if we pull out 6xy, we're left with x. And then for the middle term, we would be left with 2y. And for the last term, we would be simply left with a 4. So that is the method of factoring called pulling out the greatest common factor. And it's the type you should always test for before you do other types of factoring. Okay? Now, the next type of factoring that we'll look at, let me just label this. Here we have the greatest common factor first. And now we'll look at factoring a trinomial. All right, and the one that I will do is x squared minus 14x plus 49. Okay, we're going to start by writing down two sets of parentheses and consider what times what is x squared. So first we'll fill in x and x because x times x would be x squared. Then we have to think what multiplies to 49. What are the factors of 49? Well, there's 1 and 49. There's 7 and 7. But I notice that I'm going to need a middle term of negative 14x. So I'm going to fill in negative 7 on both of these binomials because negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49, but negative 7 plus negative 7 is negative 14. Now we can check that we have factored it correctly by multiplying these binomials together. So if I take the x times the x, you might have heard this as FOIL before, where you multiply first, outer, inner, last. It's really the distributive property. So x times x is x squared, so check, we got that right. And then x times negative 7 is negative 7x. And then we've got this negative 7 times this x is another negative 7x. Well, negative 7x minus 7x is negative 14x, so we can say check. And then negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. Negative times negative is always a positive, so that checks out. We have factored it correctly. So the answer is this factorization, x minus 7 times x minus 7.